Yesterday I got looking at this fuel pump a little more closely, and I consider it suspect. And the reason is, it's obviously an aftermarket pump. I have no idea the quality. I'm not too impressed with these little studs that are coming out here for the electrical connections. And so I'm going to change it. And the reason is, a failed fuel pump on these will leave you stranded. And they're a pain to change. So you got to go through that whole process again of draining the fuel tank and all that. So usually when I do this type overhaul, major overhaul on the aft delivery fuel system, if the pumps look like this, kind of old and dirty, or if they look like a recent replacement that is an aftermarket pump, I just replace them. You know, you're going to be into it $100, $150 or whatever, but think about the time you're going to save if you don't have to deal with it in the future and if you don't get stuck out on the open road. So I ordered in a brand new Bosch pump. Look at that. Isn't that nice? With the check valve already installed. So we're going to take this apart now. I'm going to go ahead and pull these screws. This filter, once again, is not the right filter too. So I'm going to pull these fittings off, loosen up this clamp, and pull both the pump and the filter out and reinstall the new parts. Look at this. You have to say that looks a lot better. We cleaned it up. Obviously it's not show condition. I could send this out and get it replated if I was that particular. But we have the new filter installed, the new pump. It's just a matter of disconnecting all these fittings and reattaching everything. Now what I've done here is I've kind of just snugged down all these connections because I want to mount it up there and make sure everything lines up, and then I'll go through the sequence of tightening every single fitting and every single hose clamp. When I install this, also I will want to route this up and get it just the right height so I can zip tie this. Originally it had a cover over the hose to protect it from chafing, and I'm just going to small piece of 5/8 inch heater hose. And when you install this there and this there, you're going to come up like this and put a zip tie there, and that'll keep this hose from flying around in here and chafing on the brackets. So this is ready to install. I've mounted it in place and securely fastened the bracket to the frame there, and then install the two wires. Now these wires are Murphy proof on the original pumps, but if you're getting an aftermarket pump, you have to be careful. You want to check polarity. The brown wire is usually the ground wire on these Mercedes. Now I've got the hoses kind of lined up. I've got to get this outlet hose in to the end here, and I'm going to get the clamp on first. You don't want to forget the clamp. And what you want to do is when you put these clamps on, you want to locate them so you can get to them. You don't want to bury the clamp and you can't loosen or tighten it in the future. So that's what I've done here. I've kind of located these clamps like this, and you want the clamp to be in from the edge of the hose about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to have it pointing down just a little bit like that so I can get my tool on there. This clamp is the right position. I've already tightened the hose going to the engine compartment right there. So now we'll stick the clamp on with it facing this way. Check your clearances, make sure nothing is going to rub up against this rear differential. So I'll tighten the outlet hose clamp first, so you don't need to over tighten the clamps. I'm going to move this to about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, make sure it's inside the nipple, and we'll tighten this one down. You watch this, where it just starts to crush the rubber, you stop. Okay, I'll move that one into position. And then I'll go up here, check that one. That one's tight. Okay, so all my clamps are good. Now I'm going to come over on this end here, and we're going to make sure these three fittings are tight. Here I'll use 217s. these are copper crush washers, so you want it tight. But you got to kind of feel it, you know, to where you really snug it down, and then just a little extra tweak like that. Okay, this is a 17 and a 19. You always want to use 2 wrenches on these or you can damage the fittings. Okay. Same thing here, 2 copper washers. And then like that. Okay, and then this one up here on the accumulator is a 17 and a 14. So I'll get the 14 in behind here. Okay. That's tight. All right. Everything is good. Now what I'm going to do is start the car up and run it up in the air and check this. And you want to do that too. If you're working on car ramps or something and can start the car, otherwise put it down, maybe drive it around the block. Don't go very far until you come back and check this for leaks. If you get a little seepage out of one of these clamps, just tighten it up a little bit more. Same with these fittings. But I cannot stress enough, before you go out on the open road, you run the car a little bit and you come back and recheck all this. But isn't that nice? We have a new fuel pump, new check valve, new filter, all new hoses, and old Cherry here is ready to rock and roll.